Hello, Tessa. Okay, we are going to talk about conversational past. Okay? Okay, so conversational past. To refresh your memory, let me get a pen. Conversational past is the same thing as present perfect. They're the same thing. Two names for one thing. Okay? This is also referred to as just perfect. All right, so the simple rules for conversational past are that you need a helper verb. And your helper verbs are either going to be haben or sein. And you were with me, I believe, when we have kind of touched on this briefly. Okay, haben or sein. All right, then you're going to add your past participle. Your past participles are going to be one of the following: ge plus the stem of the verb plus t, ge plus the stem of the verb plus en, or ge plus a spelling change plus en. Okay, so these are all your past participles. So we have a couple of questions. Question number one: how do we decide whether or not we should use haben or sein? Majority of the verbs take haben. However, very, very common verbs use sein. So it's not like you can think, oh, I don't need to worry about sein because I don't use those verbs very often. That's not, in fact, the case. You have to look at the main verb and ask yourself, is this verb a change in location? Okay. Is the verb a change in location? A change in location would be, for example, gehen. Whoops. Sorry about that. Okay. Change in location. Gehen, kommen, fahren, and fliegen, just to name a few. That means I go from point A to point B. Whenever there is a change in location, you will also have, or you may also have a prepositional phrase. What will be missing, however, would be a direct object. Okay, let me give you an example. Ich gehe ins Kino. Okay, there's a preposition. This is my object of my preposition, and this is my prepositional phrase. Do not confuse that with a direct object. Okay? If I want to change this to the past tense, I must use sein. Ich bin ins Kino gegangen. Okay. If you're unsure if there's a direct object or if this is a verb that's a change in location, you can always go back to the references, the appendix in the back of your book. So that's situation number one. What am I going to do if there is a direct object? Well, if there's a direct object, that means I have something. Okay, and I will use haben. So let's think of a couple examples. Essen, I can eat something. Lesen, I can read something. Schauen, I can watch something, just to name a few. So, present tense, ich esse die Pizza. Past tense, ich habe die Pizza gegessen. Okay. Continuing on, I'm assuming at this point we've covered that enough that I think you understand how to do that. I just wanted to make a note about some inseparable verbs, some verbs that have a prefix that is not inseparable, therefore no GE, and that would be verbs that end in that begin with things like be, like besuchen, emp, empfehlen, ent. I can't think of one off the top of my head. Erinnern, like gefallen, fair, like verbringen, and sehr. I can't think of one of those off the top of my head either. Needless to say, if you have any of these are called inseparable prefixes. Therefore, they do not take the GE. That doesn't mean they're regular or irregular. That's not what I'm saying. All I'm saying is that there is no GE. In addition to that, other verbs that have no GE are the verbs that end in ieren. Okay? Passieren, sortieren, fotografieren. No GE for any verb that ends in I-E-R-E-N. I think that pretty much covers everything in the conversational past. However, I would like to make one little note about its usage. We do use in German, spoken German, the conversational past predominantly over the narrative past, which is different than English. So in German, we would say, Ich habe das Brot gegessen, whereas in English, we would say, I ate the bread. However, when a speaker is referring to a series of events, it's quite common to use the narrative past because it's simpler and it's shorter. So I read, I slept, I ate. That's what we would use in German as well. We would use the simple past when making a list. Okay, to practice all of this is going to take you through exercises. Um, I think F, G, and H. And then what we're going to do is we'll talk about the present perfect versus the simple. And no, I already did that. It's actually going to take you through I and J, I believe. My mistake. I was thinking of past perfect. We'll be talking about past perfect in the next lesson. So at this point, you should cover up through exercise J, Seite 263.